The adversary, Satan, now rose up against Israel and incited David to take a census of Israel. David said to Joab and the leaders of the people, "Go, take a census of Israel from Beersheba to Dan, then report to me, so that I can know how many of them there are." Joab said, "May Adonai make his people 100 times as many as they are now. But my lord the king, aren't they all my lord's servants in any case? Why does my lord the king require this? Why should he bring guilt upon Israel?" Nevertheless, the king's word prevailed against Joab. So Joab left and went throughout all Israel, after which he came to Jerusalem. Joab reported the results of the census to David. In Israel were 1,100,000 men who could handle a sword, while Yehuda had 470,000 men who could handle a sword. But he didn't count Levi and Benjamin among them, because the king's orders was hateful to Joab. God was displeased with him and therefore punished Israel. David said to God, "I have greatly sinned by doing this. But now, please, put aside your servant's sin, for I have done a very foolish thing." Adonai spoke to Gad, David's seer, "Go and tell David that Adonai says, I am offering you a choice of 3 punishments. Choose one of them, and I will execute it against you." Gad came to David and said to them, "Take your choice, 3 years of famine, or 3 months of being swept away by your enemies, while your enemy's sword overwhelms you, or 3 days of Adonai's sword, plague in the land, with the angel of Adonai destroying everything in Israel's territory. Now think about what the answer I should give to the one who sent me." David said to Gad, "This is very hard for me. Let me fall into the hand of Adonai, because his mercies are very great, rather than have me fall into the hand of man." So Adonai sent a plague on Israel. 70,000 of the people of Israel died. God also sent an angel to destroy Jerusalem, but when he was about to carry out the destruction, Adonai saw it and changed his mind about causing such distress. So he said to the destroying angel, "Enough! Now withdraw your hand." The angel of Adonai was standing at the threshing floor of Ornan the Yebusi. David raised his eyes and saw the angel of Adonai standing between earth and the sky, and his hand was drawn, sword stretched out over Jerusalem. Then David and the leaders wearing sackcloth fell on their faces. David said to God, "Wasn't it I who ordered the census of the people? Yes, I am the one who has sinned and done something very wicked. But these sheep, what have they done? Please, let your hand be against me and my father's family, but not against your people, striking them with this plague." Then the angel of Adonai ordered Gad to tell David to go up and set up an altar to Adonai on the threshing floor of Ornan the Yebusi. David went up to Gad at Gad's word, spoken in Adonai's name. Ornan turned back and saw the angel, and his 4 sons who were with him hid themselves as Ornan was threshing wheat. David approached Ornan. When Ornan looked and saw David, he went out from the threshing floor and prostrated himself before David with his face to the ground. Then David said to Ornan, "Let me have the parcel of the threshing floor so that I can build on it an altar to Adonai. I will pay you in full value so that the plague will be lifted from the people." Ornan said to David, "Take it for yourself, and let my lord the king do what seems good to him. I am giving you the oxen for the burnt offerings, the threshing sledge for the firewood, and the wheat for the grain offering. I'm giving it all." But King David said to Ornan, "No, I insist on buying it from you at full price. I refuse to take what is yours for Adonai or offer burnt offerings that cost me nothing." So David bought the place from Ornan for 600 shekels of gold, by weight 15 pounds. Then David built an altar to Adonai there and offered burnt offerings and peace offerings. He called on Adonai, who answered him from heaven by fire on the altar for burnt offerings. Adonai gave an order to the angel, and he put his sword back in its sheath. When David saw that Adonai had answered him at the threshing floor Moshe had made at the threshing floor of Ornan the UVC, he sacrificed there. For at that time the tabernacle of Adonai, which Moshe had given in the desert, together with the altar of burnt offerings, were in the high place of Givon. But David could not go into its presence to consult God, because the sword of the angel of Adonai had struck him with terror. Then David said, "This is the house of Adonai, God. This is the altar of Israel, set to use for burnt offerings." David offered that the foreigners of the land of Israel should be assembled, and he appointed stone workers to shape stones for building the house of God. David prepared a large stone of iron from which to make nails and clamps for the gateway doors, and quantity of bronze too great to weigh, and cedar logs beyond numbering, because the Zidonim and the people of Zor brought cedar logs in abundance to David. David said, "Shlomo my son is young and inexperienced, while the house to be built for Adonai must be so magnificent and splendid that its fame and glory will be known in every country. So I will make preparations for him." Therefore David made extensive preparations before his death. Then he summoned Shlomo his son and charged him to build a house for Adonai, the God of Israel. "My son," said David to Shlomo, "my heart was set on building a house for the name of Adonai my God. But a message from Adonai came to me. You have shed much blood and fought great wars. You are not to build a house for my name, because you have shed so much blood on the earth in my sight. But you will have a son who will be a man of rest. I will give him rest from all his enemies that surround him, for his name is to be Shlomo. And during this reign I will give peace, shalom, and quiet to Israel. It is he who will build a house for my name. He will be my son, and I will be his father. I will establish the throne of his kingdom over Israel forever. Now, my son, may Adonai be with you and give you success as you build the house of Adonai your God, in keeping with what he said about you. May Adonai give you common sense and understanding. May he give you his orders concerning Israel, so that you will observe the Torah of Adonai your God. Then you will succeed. If you take care and obey the laws and rulings that Adonai ordered Moshe concerning Israel, be strong, be bold, don't be afraid or become discouraged. Now look, despite my difficulties, I have prepared the house of Adonai 3,300 tons of gold, 33,000 tons of silver, and so much bronze and iron that it can't be weighed. I've also prepared timber and stone, and you can add to it. Moreover, you have plenty of workers, quarrymen, stone workers, lumbermen, and all kinds of skilled craftsmen to do whatever has to be done with the gold, silver, bronze, and iron. They're beyond number. So get up and get to work, and may Adonai be with you. David also ordered all the leaders of Israel to help Shlomo his son. Isn't Adonai your God with you? Hasn't he given you rest on every side? For he has put the inhabitants of the land under my power. The land has been subdued before Adonai and his people. Now set your heart on being seeking Adonai your God. Get up and build the sanctuary for Adonai God. Then you can bring the ark of the covenant of Adonai and the holy articles of God into the house that will be built for the name of Adonai. David had now grown old. He had lived many years, so he made Shlomo his son king over Israel. Then he assembled all the leaders of Israel with the Kohanim and the Levi'im. A census of the Levi'im, 30 years old and over, was taken, and their number came to 38,000. Of these, 24,000 were to oversee the work of the house of Adonai, while 6,000 were officials and judges. 4,000 were gatekeepers, and 4,000 sang praise to Adonai with the instruments I made for the purpose of singing praise. David organized them in divisions named after the sons of Levi: Gershon, Kahat, and Merari. For the Gershoni, Ladan and Shimi, the sons of Ladan, Yechiel, the chief, and Zidam, the Yoel, 3, the sons of Shimi, Shlomit, Haziel, and Haran, 3. These were the heads of the clans of Ladan, the sons of Shimi, Yechat, Zini, Yehush, and Briah. For their 4 were the sons of Shimi. Yachat was the chief of Zikah the second, and Yeush and Bria, who did not have many descendants and therefore counted as one clan. The sons of Kehat, Amram, Yitzhar, Hebron, and Uziel, 4. The sons of Amram, Aaron, and Moshe. Aaron was set apart to be consecrated as especially holy, he and his sons forever, so that they might bring offerings before Adonai, perform the service with him, and bless in his name forever. But as for Moshe, the man of God, his sons are included with the tribe of Levi. The sons of Moshe, Gershom, and Eleazar. The sons of Gershom, Shuvoel, the chief. The sons of Eleazar were Rechaviah, the chief. Eleazar had no other sons, but the sons of Rechaviah were very numerous. The sons of Yisachar, Shlomit, the chief. The sons of Hebron, Yeriyahu, the chief. Emariah, the second. Yechziah, the third. Yechamam, the fourth. And the sons of Uziel, Micah, the chief of Yeshiyah, the second. The sons of Mirah, Michli, Mushi. The sons of Michla, Ezerah, and Kish. Eleazar died without having sons, but daughters only. Their cousins, the sons of Kish, married them. Mushi had 3 sons, Michla, Eder, Yeremoth. These are the descendants of Levi according to their clans, the heads of the clans according to their listings in the register, who did the work for the service of the house of Adonai, these 20 years and old and over. For David said, Adonai, the God of Israel, has given rest to his people. He lives in Jerusalem forever. The Levi'im will no longer have to carry the tabernacle, all the equipment that goes with it for its service. For according to David's last instructions, the descendants of Levi, 20 years old and over, were to be counted. Their role was to assist the descendants of Aaron with the service of the house of Adonai in the courtyards, rooms with purification of all the holy articles. In other words, with the work needed to minister the house of God. They were to assist with the showbread and the finely ground flour needed for grain offerings, no matter whether the matzah, pan-baked bread, mixed with oil, and no matter the shape, size. They were to stand every morning to sing thanks and praises to Adonai, and likewise every evening. They were to be present regularly before Adonai, wherever burnt offerings were numbered to Adonai on Shabbat, at Rosh Hodesh, and at the other designated times and the numbers required set by the rules for sacrifices. Finally, the service of the house of Adonai, they were to perform their duties in regulation in the tent of meeting, the house of their kinsmen, the descendants of Aaron. The divisions of the descendants of Aaron are as followed. The sons of Aaron, Nadav, Avihu, Eleazar, Itamar. But Nadav and Avihu died before their father and had no children. Therefore Eleazar and Itamar functioned as Kohanim. David, together with Zadok from the descendants of Eleazar, and Echlimeliach from the descendants of Itamar, arranged them in divisions for service. There were more men who were chiefs among the descendants of Eleazar than among the descendants of Itamar. Therefore there were 16 divisions of the descendants of Eleazar, headed by clan leaders, and 8 divisions the descendants of Itamar according to their clans. They were assigned periods of service by lot, the one group equally with the other, since both the descendants of Eleazar and the descendants of Itamar had officers in the sanctuary and officers of God. Shmaiah, the son of Nitnel, the secretary, one of the Levi'im, recorded them in the presence of the king, the officers Zadok, the Kohen, Ameliak, the son of Eviatar, the clan leaders, the Kohanim, the Levi'im, with 2 clan divisions taken from Eleazar, for each one from Itamar. The first lot drew was from Yeriyoviv, the second from Yedoyah, the third from Haram, the fourth from Sarim, the 5th from Milkiah, the 6th from Meyamin, the 7th from Hachrotz, the 8th from Aviyah, the 9th from Yeshua, the 10th from Shekiyahu, the 11th from Elishiv, the 12th from Yakim, the 13th from Huppah, the 14th from Yeshivav, the 15th from Bilgah, the 16th from Imar, the 17th from Hizi, the 18th from Hapitzet, 19th from Pichkia, the 20th from Yechezel, the 21st from Yakin, the 22nd from Gemul, the 23rd from Gileah, the 24th from Meziyahu. These are the divisions in in the sequence in which they served in the house of Adonai in accordance with the rule they were given through Aaron, their ancestor, as Adonai, the God of Israel, had ordered them. The rest of the descendants of Levi, the descendants of Aram, Shuviel, of the descendants of Shuviel, Yechdiah of Rechayehu, and the descendants of Rechayehu, Yishia, the chief of the Yitziri, Shlomot, and the descendants of Shlomot, Yechad, of the sons of Hebron, Uriyehu, Imriyehu, second, Yechiziel, third, Yechmam, fourth, descendants of Uziel, Mecha, the descendants of Mecha, Shamir, the brother of Mecha, Yeshia, the descendants of Yeshia, Zechariah, the sons of Miri, Milki, Mushi, the descendants of his son Yechizehu, that is, the descendants of Miri, through his descendants Yeziehu, Shaham, Zakur, Ivri, of Milki, Eleazar, who had no sons, of Kish, the descendants of Kish, Yerchemiel, and the sons of Mushi, Mechli, Eder, Yeramot. These were the descendants of Liv'am according to their clans. There likewise cast lots, as had their kinsmen, the descendants of Aaron, in the presence of David the king, Zadok, Achimelech, the clan leaders of the Kohanim, the Liv'am, with the senior and junior clans casting lots equally. For the service, David had the army commanders selected some of the descendants of Asaph, of Haman, and Yutdan, to prophesy with lyres, lutes, and cymbals. Those lists of doing the work according to the type of the work performed was of the descendants of Asaph, Zakur, Yosef, Netanya, Asilah, son of Asaph, with Asaph, who prophesied according to the direction of the king, of Yudatan, the descendants of Yudatan, Glidiehu, Zir, Yeshiyehu, Hashaviyehu, Metayehu, 6, with those fathers Utan, who accompanied the lyre, prophesied thanks and praise to Adonai, of Heman, the sons of Heman, Bechiyehu, Metaniehu, Uziel, Shmuel, Yeramot, Hananiah, Hanani, Elate, Gilti, Yemeti Ezir, Yosh Bochsha, Yoti, Hittir, Moszot, all the sons of Heman, the king's seer, in matters pertaining to God, were there to exalt God. God gave Heman 14 sons and 3 daughters. They were all of their father Asaph, Yudatan, and Heman, to sing the cymbals, lights, lutes, lyres in the house of Adonai, serving in the house of God under the direction of the king. Their number, together with their kinsmen who had been instructed in singing to Adonai, was 288, all well trained. Whether great or a small teacher or Talmud, they cast lots for their term of duty. The first lot for Asaph fell to Yosef. The second, Gdiah, his brothers, and his sons, numbered 12. The third, Zakur, his sons, brothers, 12. The fourth, Ezer, his sons and brothers, 12. The fifth, Netanyahu, his sons and brothers, 12. The sixth, Bechiyehu, his sons and brothers, 12. Seventh, Yisula, his sons and brothers, 12. 8, Yeshuyehu, his brother and sons, 12. 9th, Metayehu, his sons and brothers, 12. 10th, Shimi, his sons and brothers, 12. 11th, the Azariel, his sons and brothers, 12. The 12th, Herzavieh, his sons and brothers, 12. The 13th, Shuvuel, his sons and brothers, 12. The 14th, Metayehu, his sons and brothers, 12. The 15th, Yeramot, his sons and brothers, 12. The 16th, Hananiah, his brothers and sons, 12. The 17th, Hashbachsha, his sons and brothers, 12. The 18th, Hanani, his sons and brothers, 12. The 19th, Melti, his sons and brothers, 12. The 20th, Elita, his sons and brothers, 12. The 21st, Hatir, his sons and brothers, 12. The 22nd, Giliti, his sons and brothers, 12. The 23rd, Machziot, his brothers and sons, 12. And the 24th, to Romati Izir, his sons and brothers, 12.